सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Good evening. Welcome back to Upanishad session. So we will continue Kathopanishads with one more session. I believe we can complete. We covered the chapter 1 of Kathopanishads, and now we are moving on to chapter 2. So chapter 2 also has 3 sections, 3 vallis. So we should be able to cover that between today and next session. So with that, we should be covering 3 Upanishads. And then we can decide whether to continue with other Upanishads or there was a suggestion to go to some lighter topics. We can discuss that maybe today at the end and also next week. So without any delay, let's continue with the chapter 2 of Kathopanishad. As I said, like chapter 2 of Kathopanishad also has 3 sections known as vallis. So today what we are going to do is we are going to cover the first valli. This is such an important topic, which covers the essence of the Vedanta. So let's give full attention to that. If that is covered, the next 2 vallis would be very easy, and we can cover that in next week. So the first valli has 15 mantras, and 3 topics are covered in these 15 mantras. The first topic is the Atma Swarupam, which is the nature of the Atma. And the second topic is Atma Jnana Sadhanam. So the practices or the disciplines or the sadhanas I need to undertake to know the Atma. And the third topic is Atma Jnana Phalam. So Atma Jnana Phalam means it is the benefits of knowing the Atma. So the nature of the Atma, that is the first topic, which is Atma Swarupam. The second topic is Atma Jnana Sadhana. So the spiritual practices one should undertake to know your own true nature. That is the Atma Jnana Sadhana. And the third thing is, if I undertake those practices and if I come to know the true nature of myself, which is the Atma Swarupam, what are all the benefits? So these are the 3 topics covered in this chapter. So with that, let's jump into each of these topics and try to understand. And then finally, at the end, we can have a Q&A, because this is probably the most complicated topic in the Vedanta, the nature of the Atma, which is the most obvious thing, most important thing about me, and most difficult idea to understand. That is the nature of the Atma. So let's jump in. And please listen carefully, and any questions, please try to clear it today itself, because we will give some additional time for Q&A. So Yamadharma, in his discussion with Nachiketa, if you remember, this whole Upanishad is dialogue between 2 people, Yamadharma and a kid called Nachiketa. So between Yamadharma and Nachiketa, this discussion is going on. So we already talked about the Ratha Kalpana, all those topics. And after that, in the second chapter, second Adhyaya, first valli, Yamadharma is going to talk about what is the true nature of myself. Simple definition, yet the most profound definition. He tells, Atma is pure consciousness. That is what is Atma. So it's a simple definition, but we need to understand the scope of that definition. So if I ask each one of you, who are you? I may say that I'm Rajesh. You may say that you're Vijay or Rohitji or Arnab or Anu, Vishalji or Ankur, whatever it is. But is that the real you? Yamadharma tells that's not the real you. The real me or the real self in each one of us is nothing but the consciousness in me. In other words, everything else which I consider as myself, it is not Atma, it is outside of Atma, and everything else become known to me because of the presence of Atma. Because if I think about this, I know about I'm aware of my body, right? I'm aware of my mind. I'm aware of my emotions. I'm aware of the thoughts and feelings in me. I'm aware of the world outside. So each of these awareness, who is the true subject, who is the awarer, or who is enlivening, or who is making all the experiences available to me. Yama says that is consciousness. Let's take one by one. Right now you're hearing my voice, you're seeing my image in the computer. So you know that what happens? Something happens outside of you. Obviously, this sound is coming from your computer, and your picture is also coming from your computer. But you are aware of that. How you are aware of that? Your eyes will capture the image of me. Your ears will capture the sound of me. And whatever captured by the ear as well as the eye is known to you through your mind. But mind is not the awarer. It is what is shown in the mind that is being known to you. So who illuminates all the awareness in me? Yama says that is consciousness, and Yama says your true nature is only that consciousness. So that is something happened in the external world. Now imagine, right? You have a thought. You're thinking about traveling to New York City tomorrow. So this thought, what happens? It's a thought in your mind, but still you are aware of that. See, anything you are aware of that is outside of you, right? So the awareness is something different from the object of the awareness. So if I am aware of a thought, I as an entity should be different from that thought. Let's say that I feel happy. So that happiness, I'm aware of that happiness. I'm aware of the external events. I'm aware of the thoughts in me. I'm aware of the emotions in me. So I am something other than all these external events. I'm something other than what is happening in my mind. I'm something other than my mind. I'm something other than my intellect. I'm something other than the thoughts. So who is that? That is consciousness. And Yama make it very clear that this consciousness, which is your true nature, is not an adjective of the body. In modern science, up until recently, even now, most of the scientists believes that the consciousness in you is an attribute of your body, right? So you say that I am consciousness, but the Vedanta's approach is slightly different. Vedanta tells me that this consciousness, which is my pure nature, is independent of the existence of the body. It is not at all dependent upon the body. Whereas the body is dependent upon consciousness for its awareness. Whereas the consciousness existence is not dependent upon the body. Obviously, if you want to express something, you definitely need a body or mind. But otherwise, the consciousness, which is your own true nature, has an independent existence. And the word used in the Upanishad is Swatantra Chaitanya Surupa Atma. This is what Yamadharma uses, the technical term. Swatantra Chaitanya Surupa Atma. So the Atma, or the essence of me, is not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, but the consciousness in me, which has an independent existence of my body. And how many consciousnesses are there in the universe? In fact, there is only one consciousness. There might be thousands of the body, but there will be only one consciousness. So if you have any doubt, please refer to the previous classes. We explained this idea very much. Just like there is only one sun, which has multiple reflections in the multiple buckets of the water, the true essence has only one. So there is only one consciousness, and the reflection of that is what is known as the individual jivas. So when you take yourself as an independent entity, that independent entity has two, it's a compound entity. When you take the independent entity, say Arnav or Rajesh, it's a compound entity. It has an achetana amsham and a chaitanya amsham. The achetana amsham is pure the physical matter and the subtle matter, because the physical body constitutes of the Panchabhuta, and the subtle body consists of the Sukshma Bhuta. Both are matter, and these are achetana, means inert and insentient. So in this inert and insentient matter, when the universal consciousness gets reflected, you get a compound entity, and that is what is jiva. So in a jiva, the Atma, or the true self, is what? It is not the achetana dravya. It is not the inert insentient matter. It is not even the reflected Atma, but the real Atma, which is the pure consciousness. So the problem here is the body, in a jiva, like when you say Anu or when you say Rajesh, the body and the reflected Atma are not physically separable. It is very much closely associated. So when something is intrinsically connected with me, when something is so much closer to me, when something is a part of my system, it will be very difficult for me to see that as a separate entity. So this is what happens when you start wearing contact lenses. Over a period of time, what is going to happen is you feel this contact lens is part of you. In fact, the contact lens is a separate entity. But because of the close proximity, because of the close association, you take the equipment, you take the instrument associated with you as yourself. Just like that, when this body, mind, and intellect is closely associated with me, what happens? I take the body, I take the mind, I take the intellect as part of me. So I create a virtual entity, I create a compound entity, and get identified with that compound entity. So that is why I think that I am this body mind, and that is why I think that I am limited. That is why I think that I am aging. That is why I think that I am not beautiful. All these complexes, all these problems comes with the identification of the body. Definitely the body is valuable to me. Definitely the body is a critical component in me. Definitely absolute must have. I need to have a body to function in this time and space. But that doesn't mean that the body is me. To make it very clear, just take the Swapna Drishtanta, right? In the Swapna Drishtanta, you were in Rishikesh. You were enjoying the weather. You were enjoying the Ganga. for you to enjoy the Rishikesh in the dream space and dream time, definitely there is a dream body is mandatory. There is a dream mind is mandatory. And without the help of that dream body and the dream mind, you cannot enjoy that dream space and dream time. Just like that. But you know for sure, I don't have to explain you. It is pretty much evident to you, or it is pretty much evident to, if you're not talking, can you please go on mute? Okay. Let me see. Yes, everybody is mute. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so let's take that dream example, right? So in the dream space, in the dream time, the dream body is absolute must have for me to operate. Like that, we know, you all know that the dream body is not the real you. The dream mind is not the real you. That dream body and the dream mind are equipments given to you to operate in that dream space and dream time. This is, I don't have to explain to you. Every one of us has that experience. Why we have that experience? Because we transcended that dream space and dream time, right? So we lived, and after that we got into another order of reality. And when you recollect that experience, you realize that that dream body was not the real body of you. That dream mind was not the real mind of you. That dream space and dream time was only a temporary space. This is clear to you only when you transcend that dream body, dream mind, and dream space and dream time. But while you were in the dream body, while you were operating in the dream mind and dream space and dream time, you thought that was real. You thought yours, who are you? Somebody asked. You would have definitely shown your own dream body as yourself. Just like that, when you transcend this time and space, when you transcend this life, then only you realize that this body is given to me to operate in this time and space. But I am not that dream. I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am something beyond this body and the mind. So this is the whole idea. This is the whole idea. So consciousness is me, and that is Swatantra Chaitanya Swarupa. And the Upanishad make a call. What is that? Shift your identity from the body to the consciousness, right? So whenever the Upanishad uses the word Atma, it is used for the consciousness. So now, how do you shift your identity from the body to Atma? The Upanishad gives a technique, and that technique is known as Drik Drishya Viveka. So Drik Drishya Viveka is the technique or teaching methodology used by Kathopanishad to shift your identity from the body to the consciousness. It's clear, right? So the Atma Swarupa is the nature of the Atma. It is the consciousness. It is not dependent upon the body. It is not part and parcel of the body. It has an independent existence. But because of my close proximity with the body, because of my close association with the body, I take myself as the body. So this is the problem. And the Upanishad tells us, whenever we refer Atma in the Upanishad, that is not the body, that is the consciousness. And the call to action, meaning the action is what? You need to shift your identity from the body to Atma. And the methodology used here is Drik Drishya Viveka. So first, Upanishad takes the external world. So external world, you are aware of the external world. You are the subject, the world is the object, and you are aware of the world. You don't take the computer as yourself. If you take the computer as yourself, something serious problem, right? I don't have to even teach you. It is pretty much known to you. So you take everything external as external, even though the computer is pretty much a part of your life every day. If your own watch is part of your life every day, This pen is part of your life every day, but you don't take each of these gadgets as yourself. You take them as separate from you. In the second stage, Upanishad tells your sense organs, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and your own body. What are they? You are aware of that. You are aware of all that is captured by the eyes. You are aware of your eyes. You are aware of your body. You are aware of your skin. You are aware of your ears, everything. So they are also object with respect to you. Since you can objectify that, they are also not you. They are also equipments given to you. Just like a camera capturing the image, your eyes capture the images from the world. Just like the recorder capture the voice from outside, your own ears capture the voice. So that's what each of these equipments are. Then the next stage, it comes to your mind. The mind, meaning it is the place where all the emotions are coming in, all the thoughts are coming in, but still you are aware of that. So that means you are not even the mind, not even the intellect. So you are not the world, you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the mind, something behind that, consciousness. It is because of the consciousness you are aware of the thoughts in your mind. It is because of the consciousness you are aware of all the emotions in your mind. So you are essentially the consciousness. This is the whole idea of the Drishya Viveka. Shankaracharya took this one concept and elaborated that into its own work. And that book is a beautiful book. You can read that book, and that book is known as Drishya Viveka itself. It's a beautiful book. Okay, so that's the Drishya Viveka. So Drishya Viveka is the book used here. And then the whole idea is I am different from whatever I experience. So we said the world I experience, so I am not the world. The thoughts I experience, so I am not the intellect. The feelings I experience, so I am different from the mind. So who am I really? I use the body, I use the mind, I use the intellect as an instrument for interacting with the world outside, right? So interacting with the world outside, this is an instrument. Since I am closely associated with it, what happens? The instruments appears as an intrinsic part of myself. Underline the statement that because of the close proximity, because of this close association, the instruments given to me, which is the body, the sense organs, the mind, and intellect, appears as an intrinsic part of myself. So I need to understand that I am different from all these things because these are instruments, and I cannot take an instrument as myself. To make it a little bit more clear, Yamatharma goes to the second teaching methodology here. It is known as Avastatraya. So, as we always say, what makes Vedanta very unique from every other culture, every other tradition, is that fantastic teaching methodology given by Vedanta. So, in this teaching methodology, what happens? One of the methodology is the Drishya Viveka. The other one is what? Avastatraya. Avastatraya means each one of us are aware of three states of experience. One is called Jagrat, and the second technique is called Swapna, and the third technique is called Sushupti. The state is called Sushupti. Jagrat means I am fully aware of the external world. So I need my the sense organs, mind, intellect, everything to interact with that world. In the dream, what happens? My body is not active. Only my mind and intellect is active. But I get a dream body, which is different from this body. So what happens? I functions through a different body, which is different from this body. And in the deep sleep, my body is not active. My mind is not active. My intellect is not active. So I feel that nothing else is there. But there is something that is active in all the three states of experience, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, which is that consciousness. So I am that consciousness. Because of this only, the Upanishads make a conclusion that what? I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the ego, I am not everything. From this awareness only, the great master Shankaracharya wrote Nirvanashtakam. Anybody know that verses of Nirvanashtakam? Can you tell one verse, one first line of Nirvanashtakam? Very famous, everybody chants that. Mano Buddhyahankara
Chitta hinaham.
Chitta Hinaham. What exactly means?
I'm not
Not body, I'm
not
not
mind.
the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the memory. Chitta there means memory. Each line, right? I'm not the sense organ, I'm not the prana. And finally, who am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that consciousness. I am that consciousness. I am conscious. And it goes elaborating in 8 different stanzas. This is the idea. That Nirvanashtakam is talking about the nature of the Atma and pointing out what exactly is not the Atma is. I'm pretty sure that is inspired from this particular portion of the Kathopanishad. And essentially, this is the idea of all the Upanishads. So, I am eternal, endless consciousness, and I am the witness. I am the witness of all the 3 states. Avastatraya Sakshi. So that which exists, that which is a witness of all the 3 states of experience. And this is the consciousness. And this original consciousness is me. And one more point Yamadharma tells, this original consciousness, which is known as Paraprakriti in the language of Bhagavad Gita, or it is known as Brahman, or the absolute reality, or the nameless, formless God, or the true nature. This Atma, which is Brahman, it gets reflected in the matter, right? So when it gets reflected in the micro level, it becomes a Jiva. When this Brahman gets reflected in the macro level, it became Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara. So the microcosm, macrocosm, right? So with just like a wave and the ocean, right? The essence of the wave is water. The essence of the ocean is also water. Wave is at the micro level, but the ocean is at the macro level. So like that, there is a Jiva, there is an Ishvara. And what is Ishvara per the true definition? It is the absolute reality, which is the Swatantra Chaitanya Atma, get reflected in the total body, total mind, that becomes Ishvara. And last week somebody asked the question, right? So this Ishvara has, the Saguna Ishvara has a beginning and an end. But the Dirguna Ishvara transcends everything. It doesn't have a beginning, it doesn't have an end. Because that is why it tells, Najayate mriyate va kadajit, Nayam bhuktva bhavita vana bhuyaha, Ajo nitya shashwatoyam purano, Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. We can elaborate this topic very much. In the beginning, right, as the Bible said, what was there? There was only this Paraprakriti or Nirguna Brahman or the absolute reality that was the only there. And what happens? After a period of time, this undifferentiated meaning from the Brahman, the differentiated universe emerged out. It's a cyclic process. So the universe emerged out of the absolute reality. And what happened? In that emerged universe, which is Apara Prakriti, which is what is that? the matter which is evolved from that pure consciousness, what happened? The original consciousness got reflected. At the micro level, it became Jiva. At the macro level, it became Ishvara. And it is that macro level Ishvara that governs the universe. But in essence, what happens? That which gives existence to the micro level Jiva, as well as the macro level Ishvara, and as well as the individual Sharira, as well as the whole Prakriti of at the macro level, it is the Prakriti, right? It is known as Vishwa, right? Just like the individual, it is the individual Sharira. At the macro level, it is known as Ishvara, Vishwa. And individual level, you call it as mind, and at the macro level, it is known as Taijasa, Vishwa Taijasa. Don't worry about these technical terms. Just understand that as is the microcosm, so is the macrocosm. There is one Upanishad, which was a favorite quote of a big scientist. So this is what it is. So Jiva is there, Ishvara is there, the Brahman, Parabrahman is there, or the Para Prakriti is there. You need to understand the relationship between all these three. The Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Both Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara are nothing but everything is dependent upon the Paramatman. So if an individual at the microcosm, if he get himself identified with the Paramatma, what happens? He connects his identity with Ishvara also, right? So that is from all the Mahavakya scheme. So this is the Atma Sarupam. This is such an important topic. We can we can discuss this in our Q&A. So this is Srishti, Veshti, and Samashti, right? So one is macro, the other one is micro. So Vrishti is known as Ishvara. At the Samashti level, it is known as individual Jiva. So Jiva, Ishvara, and the Jiva, Ishvara Aikyam is established through their own true identity, which is the Nirguna Atma Chaitanyam. And who am I? I am that Nirguna Atma Chaitanyam, which is beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond Ishvara, and beyond the universe. So this is the Atma Swarupam. So brilliantly, Yamadharma gives the Atma Swarupam. That is the major topic of the first one. So let's go to the second topic. Let's do in the next 10 minutes, the next two topics, and then we can go to the Q&A. So the next topic is Jnana Sadhanam. This knowledge about Atma, it is very, very difficult to get because most of us do not even recognize, because in a dream, most of us don't recognize that it is a dream. While you are in the dream, you operate as if it is the true reality. So like that, when I live in this world, I get identified with the Atma. So how can I get identified with the Atma? So meaning, Upanishad, in this particular area, Yamadharma highlights one major thing. It is known as Antarmukhatvam, right? Every human being is naturally extrovert. If you are too much extrovert, what is going to happen? It is very difficult. You don't even recognize the value of spirituality. So while extrovertness is good, but you need to have an Antarmukhatvam. It is not introvert, because the Antarmukhatvam is not introvertness. Antarmukhatvam is, when you have a Bahumukhatvam, you should have an ability to look inside. How that Antarmukhatvam is non-extrovert, right? It's not introvert, not excessive extrovertness. That is what it is. So all forms of meditation is going to help you to gain this Antarmukhatvam. Without that Antarmukhatvam, it is very difficult to recognize the Atma. So that's why the Upanishad tells, right? Antarmukha Samaradhya Bahurmukha Sudurlabha. If you are Bahurmukha, it's complete extrovert. It is very difficult for you to understand Atma. So Antarmukha means there is a very good chance that you can recognize Atma. And one thing is, I see in a lot of commentaries, they say introvert. Introvertness is also not good. Shankaracharya clarifies that in the commentary, but still in a lot of English translation, people call it as introvertness. That is not correct. And then, so this is the second topic. So Jnana Sadhana. And let's go to the final topic. What are all the benefits of this knowledge? So if you gain this Atma Swarupam, what are the benefits? So Kama Nivritti, that is the first thing. Kama Nivritti means you will be freed from binding attachments. You don't need to become another person for you to become happy. Right now, most of us, this self-recognition or that self-satisfaction is not there. Right? So, very interesting thing. Very interesting thing is, like Upanishad tells, like a person who is not married wishes to marry. Why? Is it because of the marriage or the wife? Upanishad tells no, because he is missing something. The bachelor individual is missing something. He thinks that the next stage is going to make him that complete. Absolutely not. Marriage is important. I'm not saying that that is not important, but something is missing in my life always. And that is why these binding desires comes in. So if you discover your Atma, if you come to know your Atma in the true sense, then this Kama Nivritti, you will be freed from this binding attachment. Then second thing is Shoka Nivritti, suffering. You will not be suffering anymore. Yes, you will have pain, but the suffering will not be there. Shoka Nivritti, that is the second topic. And the third topic is Bhaya Nivritti. What happens? You will, mean, otherwise what happens? You are afraid of losing something because your happiness, your contentment, everything is dependent upon something else, and it is very difficult. You are afraid of always. And that Bhaya Nivritti is going to be there. Even the death, you are not afraid. So Kama Nivritti, Shoka Nivritti, Bhaya Nivritti. These are the benefits of the self-knowledge. And that covers the first Valli. So just those who are intellectually curious, the important mantras of this second Valli is 1, 2, 10, and 11. I already covered the meaning of all those mantras, 1, 2, 10, and 11. So to summarize, the second chapter has 3 Vallis, and the first Valli has 15 mantras. In the first Valli, there are 3 topics covered. The first topic is Atma Swarupam. The second topic is Jnana Sadhanam. And the third one is Jnana Phalam. So the Atma Swarupam, we have seen that that is the most important topic. What is the nature of myself? And the Upanishad tells, wherever the Upanishads refers as Atma, me, it is not the body, it is not the mind, it is not the compound entity Jiva, but the pure consciousness, which is beyond the body, which is beyond the mind. And then the Upanishad discusses why in a typical world I get identified with the body and the mind, not with the Atma. So that point is elaborated because, meaning I already gave that statement, which is very important, which is what happens. Instruments appears as intrinsic part of the body because of the close proximity. That is the point we discussed. And Upanishad suggests us to shift my identity from the body, mind, and Jiva to this Atma. And that is what it is, because truly speaking, I am Nirguna Atma Chaitanyam. And then The second topic we saw was the Jnana Sadhanam and Andarmukhatvam. It is the not completely explored. You should have the ability to look inside, and that is very important. And all the meditative practices are a tool to get into this Andarmukhatvam. And then the benefit of this self-knowledge, 3 benefits we saw. One is Kama Nivritti, other one is Shoka Nivritti, and the last one is Kaya. So that covers the first Valli. Next week, we will cover the second Valli and third Valli and conclude the Kathopanishad. And interestingly speaking, the second Valli also has 3 topics, exact same topic. Some additional colors are given. So the same topic of Atma Swarupam, same topic of Jnana Sadhanam and Jnana Phalam is discussed. By the way, this Upanishad is a conversation between Yamadharmaraja and an 8-year-old kid, Nachiketas. So with that, we can conclude. I know if you can do the closing prayer, we can open up for 15-minute Q&A. So if you have any, yeah, I know, please do.
Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you. So let me stop